Hey everybody, so let's talk today about fairies and what they are. A lot of people have experience with the mythology and the folklore of gnomes, elves, goblins, pixies, trolls, the things we would relate to um, Celtic lore, Ireland, Britain, Norway, Germany, European areas, the pagans in those areas, a lot of the beings that they believed in, and a lot of those beings are real. Leprechauns are real, goblins, elves, all that sort of thing. And so I'm just gonna adjust that quickly there. And so they are beings of the natural world. My experience is different than what other people explain them as. So for me, they are beings of another dimensional space that does have physicality if you can access it. And there are many layers to that space. So there are many different dimensional layers, which means one type of fairy might not live in the same space as another type of fairy. The word a lot of people use is elemental. I don't agree with that word. That word is often described as like elemental energy, that they are energies, that they have no form, and that's actually not the case. I experience them quite a lot with form, with physicality and that sort of thing. Now, elementals to me do exist. There are energetic elemental beings that are made of elemental energy, meaning earth, wind, water, fire, air, that which is wind, love, fear. They can be emotional energies, but they're energy. They have no form. They're just flowing balls of energy and tentacles and kind of like they have no form. They're formless. They can look like a ball. They can look like a wavy tentacly thingy. If you've ever, for anybody who's seen Stardate, the series, the ancients remind me of a lot of the elementals I've seen when they're in that form, that energetic form. So for me, my experience, when people say elementals, it's like saying squirrels when you mean mammals. So it's a small subset of the natural world. For example, gnomes, in my experience, they have physicality, but in their own dimensional space. Brownies, brownies are beings who live in the homes, vary in sizes. Typical lore describes them as being helpful, being clean. They clean things, they help with the energy, they do other types of work. They definitely have physicality to them. But again, different dimensional space. So these beings exist and they're all around us. A lot of people use the term fairy, for example, too, and the term fairy is even something that I typically try to veer away from because I call them fae. I've been guided to call them fae, which is the all-encompassing. Fae is like saying mammals. So if I say fae, it's like saying mammals. It's the entire classification of those beings under that grouping. And saying fairy is related more to individuals that are humanoid, often humanoid in form. Sometimes they don't look human. They have animal heads and faces and all this other stuff, but usually winged. The beings who are fairy in nature typically have wings, and they're usually smaller. They're usually, small beings. So, an elf who's 6 foot tall is they're a fae, but not a fairy. And, an elf can be a fairy can be a fae, a goblin is a fae, but not all of them are fairies, type of thing. So these are creatures that live beside us in the dimensions of Earth. The Earth is a ball of consciousness with many, many dimensions. They live beside us. They have often been thought of as fictions, as I've already mentioned. but those fictions were based on real lore. If you go back to the old lore of Ireland, for example, and read some of those stories line almost up accurately to the beings that I've met. Goblins coming into houses and causing problems, being rambunctious. Gnomes who are helpful and healing animals and help the gardens. And now gnomes is more of a Germanic, I think they're from like Germany, Austria area for the most part is where they originated at. Leprechauns being tricky, and the trickiness is more out of respect. A lot of people don't, like, if you don't respect them or you do things maliciously. There's a lot of stories about people catching leprechauns, and because they want the gold, being mean and like demanding the gold, and them not receiving the treasure and being tricked in a variety of ways I can go to in another video, but being deceived. So the leprechaun tricks them because of that maliciousness to get their gold, whereas in other stories, if you had a good heart and you weren't greedy in that and showed that and helped them, they would give you amazing treasure. There's one story of a kid being given, and this might not be related to leprechauns either, this might be other beings, but a kid being given a coin, and his family was rich forever because every time they spend the coin, it would end up back in their pocket, type of thing. Those types of things occur where they can energetically give us gifts of abundance and beauty and luck and all these other things. So I have seen numerous types of fae, getting past the labels and the fact that they were used to be fictions. I've seen goblins. I had to once separate an offering bowl from a gnome. I had a rock gnome who would he would like crawl out of the ground and come into my house and share mead and beer with me when I was drinking, those types of things. He would come out, we would drink together, and goblins would come in, and it got to a point where they were trying to be aggressive over the offering, so I had to give it an offering away from them because their energies are more rambunctious and volatile. I've had ogres walk through my house, very pleasant, not to be scared of. Trolls, I've talked to trolls that are under bridges. Again, another type of energy that's vilified, but they're just slow, I guess, slow, dumb type of energies. But they're not malicious. They're just doing their thing. A lot of gnomes. I've met elves, sat with elves before, Lord of the Rings style elves in the middle of the desert. I've had fairies, little winged people, pixies. Pixies are little winged people, or typically have wings. Pixies are little winged people, and they like to flick ears and pull shoelaces and that type of thing. It's like take a fairy and a goblin and smash them together. What else? What other kinds of fairies have I seen? I've only met a leprechaun through client readings, and let's see, what else would be brownies? I love brownies. So brownies are these, a lot of people don't know this term. They are, like I said, they're these beings that come into your house and help you out, and they're super friendly, super caring. I feel this is a lot of the monster in the closet relation that kids have, where they're like, there's a monster in the closet, and they're furry and pointed ears and this and that, and they're like 2-3 feet tall. Those are, I feel, are often brownies. Very, very friendly beings. Some of them are extremely shy. I have one who lives here who's extremely shy. I had one that lived in the other apartment, and when I moved, she stayed at the other apartment because that had been their home for 50 plus years. And she was I met her dad first. There was a family of them, and there was the closet area, and there was a portal in the closet, and they could come and go through that space. Same here, actually. The way this brownie comes through, there's a portal in the utility closet, and he comes and goes through that space. And they're just friendly. They're just friendly beings. They have all kinds of likenesses. A lot of them look like very furry humans, pointed ears sometimes round, mousy features. And then there's one at my mom's house who stands this tall. She's like 2 inches tall, Beatrice, and she has a family in my mom's house, very much like the story of the Borrowers or The Secret of Ariete, if you've ever watched those or read the books. And yeah, so fairies are very real. I've had a lot of experiences with them, and I will talk about them more here in the future. We're at the 10-minute time frame. So thank you for watching. Remember, you can get a spirit art reading, and oftentimes fairies come through in spirit art readings. Even starseed readings have brought through past lives that people have had in those dimensions, and that sort of thing. So thank you for watching. Grateful for each and every one of you, and I love you all.